Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Mellors. I'm the Regional Manager for the UK Science and Innovation Network, and it's my great pleasure to welcome everyone here today for this, the third in our series of Newton Climate webinars. So as we all know, climate change is affecting every country in the world. It's disrupting national economies and it's affecting the lives and livelihoods of people all around the world. Sea levels are rising, weather patterns are changing, and weather events are becoming more extreme. We know already that if left unchecked, climate change could cause average global temperatures to increase beyond 3 degrees Celsius. We're already seeing how climate change can exacerbate storms, disasters, food and water shortages, and can lead to conflict. We know that doing nothing will cost more than taking action now. And we have a great opportunity to lead a green transition that will give us more jobs, greater prosperity, and better lives for everybody while we reduce greenhouse gas emissions all around the world. The next few weeks are going to be crucial in deciding how the world takes action. So we as the United Kingdom are very proud that we will be hosting the COP26 Climate Change Conference in Glasgow from the start of November that will bring together countries to agree how we can keep global temperatures under 1.5 degrees Celsius. But if we're to succeed in those ambitions, we need science and technology to step up and provide the practical solutions that will help us reach those targets. So I'm delighted today that we're continuing this series of webinars, which are aimed to demonstrate the impact of successful joint research that is being funded by the British and Turkish governments under the Newton Chalebi Fund. We're going to talk about our speakers' experience in the Newton Chalebi Fund, the problems they're addressing with their research, and the solutions that that research is providing. I'll just say a quick word about the Newton Fund. This is a unique program which aims to build research and innovation partnerships between 17 countries around the world to support economic development and social welfare and to tackle global challenges. In Turkey, the UK is working closely with the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, or TÜBİTAK, as our main local partner. And since 2014, the fund has provided nearly £30 million to more than 450 projects. As I mentioned before, this is the third webinar in our series. If you missed the first two, you can catch up on them at the YouTube channel of the British Embassy in Ankara. As we go along, please do ask questions through the chat function on Zoom, and I will pick up some of those questions from the chat bar to ask to our panelists at the end. But I'm now pleased to introduce our distinguished speakers who received funding from the Transforming Systems Through Partnership grant of the Royal Academy of Engineering through the Newton Fund. So firstly, Professor Ashraf Osman from the Department of Engineering at Durham University is the co-private investigator of the UK team. He is the geotechnical research node lead at Durham University, and his research focuses on ensuring the sustainability and resilience of geotechnical infrastructure. Professor Osman has a long experience of leading and managing international multi-partner research projects in the field of sustainable infrastructure and is the principal investigator on a number of Global Challenge Research Fund and Newton Fund research projects. Our second speaker is Associate Professor Dr. Nejan Huvaj from Middle East Technical University, where she works at the Department of Civil Engineering, and in fact is the deputy head of that department. And she was the co-private investigator of the Turkish team. Her focus of research covers a variety of topics, including urban geology, engineering geology foundations, earthquakes, dams, reservoirs, renewable energy, soil mechanics, deep excavation, and ground improvement. So while our speakers, I believe, have at least one other project under the Newton Fund, Today, we're going to focus on their work entitled Shallow Landslide Susceptibility Mapping in Rize, Turkey, as the focus of today's webinar. So a big welcome again to both of our speakers. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I'll hand over to Professor Osman first for his presentation, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction and for the invitation. So what I will do, I will share my screen with my presentation. Can you see the presentation? Yeah, excellent. Yes, this is a joint project funded under Newton Fund and the Royal Academy of Engineering through transforming systems through partnership grant scheme, and it started on 20th April for 2 years, and we receive a total of 80,000 pound funding. And it's a partnership between Middle East Technical University in Turkey with Dr. Nejan is the leader of the project, and I'm the coordinator or the leader from the UK side, together with my colleague, Professor David Toll and Dr. Marty Loret-Cabot. And we are lucky to have an industrial partner, and we intended to have an industrial partner in order to increase the impact of our research. Docker was one of the company, bigger company here, one of the company in Turkey which had excessive experience in slope stability and landslides. So they in this project, they provide us with access to their resources, laboratory facilities, database of lab testing of several samples taken from landslide sites and to landslide site investigation reports. And we are very grateful to this collaboration. And also they are helping in this project through characterizations of the material properties in Rize city, which is the focus of our research area or the focus of our study. And they will also help with the project activities such as the training and the workshop, which we will help. We will help later in the project, and also they will help in dissemination of the result of the project to the wider community. Landslides in Turkey, actually Turkey's landslides is one of the major natural disasters in Turkey, which causes loss of life and damage to infrastructure, like housing, farmlands, and transportation infrastructures. And it has severe impact on economy and also severe consequences in the social aspects. So for example, this is last summer, unfortunately, more than 72 people were killed due to landslides. And if we look at this map, which demonstrates clearly, yes, the damage the landslide can cause in terms of loss of life, let alone loss of infrastructures. And as you can see, landslide is a serious problem where it causes several loss of life. And one of main reason for landslide in Turkey is the rainfall. So most of the landslide in Turkey are triggered by rainfall. And what we focus actually in this project in Rize city, because it has the highest annual rainfall in Turkey, and it has the highest number of rainfall triggered landslides every year. And in fact, actually the average rainfall in Rize city is about 5 times or 4 times the average in the whole of Turkey. So, and again, Unfortunately, last summer, more than 6 people were dead. And yeah, I had a video from this disaster. And this is from the CNN. Yes, so the main objective of this project, so we know the importance of this project is very important and it's timely because actually we are addressing very important problem which affected life. So we want to develop a deeper understanding about the mechanism of shallow landslides in unsaturated soil, because this area we have unsaturated soil where the soil had air in the grain or the gaps between the grains, which can make things a bit complicated for those who specialize in soil mechanics. They know that, and we want to develop a numerical model which can predict landslides, so can help us to predict the landslide. And the idea is to have susceptibility map for Rize city, and then from there we can extend this map to either area. So this map or hazard map or susceptibility map will form the base for loss and damage assessment, and will have the potential to assist in various hazard mitigation and development planning. And the aim of this project also to raise awareness of the public and to help the government agency in channeling hazard fund. So we have several scientific activity, 3 scientific activity in this project in order to the knowledge dissemination and transfer. So we have, we want first of the activities we carried in this project is to characterize the materials and to understand the properties of the soil in this region. This is through field work and through data and through soil testing of samples of the soil from the area. And the second package of activities is to develop advanced coupled hydromechanical model which can predict the landslides. And the third, and then from the first and the second activities, we will combine them into developing hazard map. Again, by combining the knowledge from the 2 activities and with the geographic information system. As I say, in addition to have, we will have series of knowledge transfer activity such as workshop and training for young researchers. So the first of these activities, a total of 12 landslide sites were selected, and these sites, what we realized actually in these sites, rainfall triggered are shallow, so less than 3 meters. Maybe Dr. Nejan will talk more on the detail later. And and they have rapid to very rapid flow in this region. So the first step actually in order to understand the triggering mechanism for landslide, you need to understand the soil. You need to characterize the soil, know the properties of the soil. So this is done through series of lab testing, and where we identify and classify the soil. So soils are in this region, generally speaking, are relatively loose, medium stiff, mostly fine grain soils. So they have low and high plasticity, cells with high plasticity organic soils with a liquid limit if you are in this field, so something between 35 to 87%. And then we measure the strength of the soil, like the drain shear strength, and again using different techniques. And there is a paper led by Dr. Nejan and her co-workers, which provide details, investigations, and their results if someone is interested. And the second part of the activities is to carry numerical simulations where we use coupled hydro mechanical model. We develop our own code. We combine it or we extend the commercial software by developing more tailored model for these landslides and using advanced model. I will not go into the details, but the idea, part of this project, we develop advanced coupled model, which enable us to simulate the rainfall and the effect of the rainfall on the movement of the slope and on the failure or the landslides. I will stop here because of the timing, and I will let my colleague, Dr. Nejan, to continue.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen? Yes, okay. Thanks for the introductions, Nick, and thanks for the presentation, Dr. Osman. This work has been supported by the Newton Fund, and we are grateful for this support. We are working on an important and timely topic for Turkey and for around the world, shallow landslide susceptibility in Rize. Actually, our project is matching with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. One of these goals is goal number 11, developing sustainable cities and communities, where some of the related topics are described as disaster risk reduction and developing sustainable cities and human settlements. So our project is very much related to some of these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Another of these goals is goal number 13, climate action, where some of the related topics are described as atmosphere, climate change, and national sustainable development strategies. So we are also related to these subtopics in our project. And finally, goal number 17 among these United Nations goals, partnership for the goals, where the aim is to develop international partnerships and capacity development, as well as multi-stakeholder partnerships for solution of global and local problems. I will talk a little bit about outcomes, the outputs and impact so far in our project. Actually, this project provided us a research collaboration, beginning of a research collaboration with the United Kingdom. We held project meetings where we had exchanged ideas and experiences. Although I have not met Ashraf in person due to COVID yet, but we held meetings online. These are some of our partners, Professor David Toll and our company partner Toker and other colleagues, and two of our research assistants, Mohammed and Amir, are also in this picture. This project helps us in capacity building, where we educate and engage young researchers in climate-driven hazards. Currently, we have 2 master's degree students at METU, where they are in project assistance funded by the Newton Fund in this project. This is important for us because in Turkey, typically students are working in companies or government agencies and gain salaries. We do not have enough budget for full-time research assistants in our department. So this is one way of providing us researchers that will be full-time devoted to the research work. So that's very valuable for us, provided by Newton Fund. We have also postdocs working at Durham University. You see some of our students and research assistants, Mohammed, in this picture. We held meetings with researchers in Turkey for further collaboration and with the UK. Together with stakeholders engagements, for example, National Disaster Agency, we have been communicating with them in exchanging ideas and also gathering data for our works. Last week, I have attended the National Landslide Symposium, where we also exchanged experiences and ideas with researchers there as well in local stage. We prepared a journal article. The title of this is Morphometric Characteristics of Shallow Landslides Triggered by a Rainfall Event in 2017 in Rize, Turkey. We are planning to have 2 other articles that are in progress. This September 2017 rainfall event is very interesting. Actually, it is very common in Rize. At every rainfall, many landslides are triggered. In this event, more than 900 individual landslide events are triggered. So we are interested in mapping these landslides, developing an inventory. The red zones here in this picture show the developing area, initiation area of these landslides. Then they flow down, and this is the runout region in these pictures. So we want to develop at this rainfall event, where and how many, what are their sizes. We want to identify their morphometric characteristics in this study. Then later on, after our numerical simulations, we want to check, can we predict correctly these landslide occurrences? So I'll talk a little bit more about those, but I want to say in general, our questions that we would like to answer are, can we, oops, sorry, I did something wrong. Can we predict where and when these landslides will occur? And can we do an early warning for landslides? Oops, sorry, let me quickly, my PowerPoint collapsed. We are interested in predicting where and when these landslides will occur. And can we develop an early warning system? Well, we will inform people about the coming landslide event. And is it possible to do urbanization according to rainfall triggered landslides? Okay, sorry about this. Okay, so these are our questions. Can we give early warning, and can we change the land use planning? The mechanism of these landslides, first of all, as we take a cross section through these landslides, there is an existing ground surface, some groundwater table, an existing suction above the water table level in the soil. And there is a certain shear strength of the soil. As the rainfall comes and enters, infiltrates into these soils, as it penetrates, it reduces the shear strength of the material from the unsaturated condition toward the saturated condition, and rainfall will have a certain intensity duration. So we would like to analyze this for individual slopes, individual landslides, as well as aerially, spatially for the whole region. And in the end, we would like to predict when the landslide will occur, in which regions it will occur. For this, we need a lot of data about the soil characteristics. One example is, I will not go too much into details, but soil water characteristic curve is an important parameter. Hydraulic conductivity function, how the permeability of the material changes with suction and infiltration of the rainfall, and unsaturated shear strength need to be characterized for these analyses to be capturing correctly. We realized in our previous studies that different unsaturated soil properties can lead to different intensity duration thresholds of these rainfall events for the same slope. So for a given slope, you may get landslide or not, depending on the different intensity duration conditions. The material properties play a critical role in triggering of these landslides. Intensity duration threshold that triggers a landslide can be computed. We are able to compute if parameters are well known. We can predict such landslides. Both high intensity, short duration rainfalls. Imagine that in 2 hours, you just get a lot of rainfall. This is that type of rainfall compared to 2 days of small amount of, let's say, low intensity, long duration rainfalls. They both trigger landslides, and we can capture their mechanism. And the material behavior, coarse grained soils, more like bigger sandy particles versus silty, smaller sized particles, their behavior will be different. Especially for the fine-grained soils, such as in Rize, silty soils, time to failure is independent of rainfall intensity in some cases above a certain rainfall level. This is because water does not get chance to penetrate into the soil, rather it goes as a surface runoff above a certain rainfall level. So we would like to be aware of these and be able to capture these. We carry out numerical simulations. This is some of our ongoing studies via finite element methods or one-dimensional infiltration and slope stability methods together with Durham University. Our study area is some villages are covered, Reşitepe, Kaptanpaşa, Gülpınar, and Çukurluoca villages in the Rize. They cover about 15 kilometers square area. This is the rainfall event that triggered about these 900 something landslides. This is daily rainfall. The black boxes you see here are the daily rainfall events, and the red line is the cumulative rainfall events since 27 September and the following few days. So we took aerial images. These are provided to us by the help of Dr. Tolga Görüm and Dr. Resul Cömert. We are working closely with them in this topic. And in the end, we provide the identification of individual landslides after this rainfall event. We realized we wanted to quantify their dimensions and sizes, depths. 98% of these landslides have less than 3 meters depth, with the mean depth of these landslides is about 1 meter. And for scale, you will see me on the picture. This is 1.67 meter for scale. The landslides have typical length and width of about 14 meter length and about 9 meter width. So small scale, let's say, landslides, but there are many of them. Mean slope angle, the inclination of the ground is about 35.9 degrees. It has some variability in it. We are working on preparing our second manuscript where we are going to analyze the infiltration and triggering of rainfall. Then our studies will continue. We would like to have a training activity and a workshop. Actually, we were planning to have it in November, but we are going to hold it in March 2022, where we are going to invite researchers, stakeholders, disaster agency, and anybody who would like to contribute in this workshop to exchange ideas. In the training activity, we will be giving a short course for young researchers and engineers for the fundamentals of unsaturated soil mechanics and how to do these analysis. And we would like to provide some exchange of ideas with the government agencies and decision makers. The network created by this project will enhance mobility and international visibility for the partners in Turkey, our private company, as well as our university. It will also provide a step forward in establishing the long-lasting collaborations beyond the time of this project. Actually, I want to give an example of that. With Dr. Ashraf Osman, we proposed another research project that was started in February 2020. All are happening in the COVID times. This is called CRAFT, Developing a Novel Climate Change Risk Assessment Framework for Cultural Heritage in Turkey, funded by UK Arts and Humanities Research Council Global Challenges Research Fund, where we are looking into historical cultural artifacts where they are damaged by floods and landslides. We are working with a group of researchers from Turkey, from Yıldız Technical University, Middle East Technical University, and Durham University colleagues. The second proposal we submitted and that was funded is on renewable energy with Dr. Ashraf Osman. This is on floating hybrid renewable energy, wind and solar energy systems for Turkey. It is funded by TÜBİTAK British Council Bilateral Cooperation Program, Newton Fund, institutional links. With this, I end my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Professor Huvaj, Professor Osman, thank you so much for those presentations, which I think give us a really good understanding of the work you've been doing and how that's leading to some really concrete insights into the mechanics of landslides, the damage they can do, and some of the steps we might take to avoid these kinds of damages. So I can see we do have some questions in the chat, but I'm going to just ask a few quick follow-up questions myself, if that's okay. I mean, firstly, it would be really interesting to hear your impressions of how the funding you received through the Newton Fund contributed to the joint research that you've done, and how it helped you to achieve your goals under this research. Professor Osman, maybe I can turn to you first.
Yes, yeah. For me, actually, Newton Fund honestly, actually, it gave me a big boost in my career, because actually in the UK, before we have this GCRF and ODA, we are more like focus on UK problem, but actually with the Newton Fund, it gives us idea of what to think about, what other problem faces many people around the world, and try to focus our research in addressing real problem which affect real people and affecting life of real people. So yes, it offers a unique opportunity, and it offers us a unique opportunity to work with colleagues from all around the world.
Yes, exactly. This, with the help of this funding, we were able to start the initiation of this project, as well as support our research assistants for carrying out full-time research. So we appreciate the support by Newton Fund.
Excellent, thank you both. And I mean, if I could ask a bit about your motivations, what was it that drew both of you personally to be interested in this particular area to research? Professor Huvaj, do you want to go first for this one?
I have been working about landslides during my PhD studies, as well as after my PhD studies in Turkey. In Rize, we have visited several times with Japanese colleagues. We had a project where we looked into rainfall-triggered landslides in the city of Rize before, and we had communications with the National Disaster Agency's Rize office, talking about their problems and their landslides in their perspective. So I have been for a long time interested in these landslides. And this is a very specific region which gets the highest amount of rainfall and rainfall-triggered landslides, which cause significant damage. So that's why we selected this region and this topic. Landslide was a common topic of interest between Dr. Ashraf Osman and me. That could be the reason why we started from this.
And how about yourself, Professor Osman?
Yes, I think, again, I have an interest in landslides. I run a couple of projects here in UK and also in Southeast Asia. And I'm interested in this topic because it has real impact, because you are dealing with real problem which affect life of people. So it's a matter of life of death. So you have to apply your knowledge in order to save life of people.
Absolutely. And I mean, you both mentioned a little bit, the perspectives in the different countries about this area, but how did you find your teams complemented each other? Were there particular things you felt you got from an international collaboration that maybe you couldn't have got otherwise?
Maybe I can start. In the Turkish side, we had already had some expertise in unsaturated soil mechanics with my colleague, Dr. Toker, and our partner company in this project, where they had the database on soil properties. So we had already interest in preliminary studies on this. We had some master students and publications on this topic. Actually, I initially met with Dr. David Toll in a conference in Istanbul in 2019. Then he and Dr. Ashraf Osman, we communicated to work on this project. And Dr. Ashraf Osman's group has numerical calculations, simulations background, where they have worked on landslides, very similar landslides, rainfall triggered type in their previous studies. So that became a good match between our group and their group to select this study area and work together. I don't know if you would like to add anything, Ashraf.
Yeah, and also it added to our knowledge, because we work in Southeast Asia, but we never worked in Turkey before. So it's an opportunity for us actually to learn about the practice and the nature of the landslides in Turkey as well.
Perfect. Thank you both. So I'm going to turn now to some of the questions we've had in the chat bar, and I'll start with one of the simpler questions, but maybe the answer is quite challenging. I'm not sure. Has your joint research suggested any possible solutions to the problem of landslides in this region, or is that something you're planning to address through follow-up research?
Well, I can start. Currently, we did not propose any solutions. Our first goal is to understand the mechanism, and aerially, spatially, we would like to identify their triggering mechanism and create an early warning system where we will say, on these slopes, in the next coming rainfall tomorrow, we expect some landslides, so people will be aware and take necessary measures. So we are right now on the mitigation aspect in terms of early warning systems, but we would like to carry on further on this project where we can work with government agencies to develop rules for the urbanization and settlements, where to develop, how to develop the more sustainable living environments on these slopes. So currently not a solution existing yet, but we will be working on to provide more realistic solutions.
Brilliant, thank you. And I suppose I imagine there are short-term mitigations. I mean, you mentioned sort of early warning for people living in those regions. But if we're looking at this from a long-term perspective, and if frequent rainfall is going to become a more common phenomenon as climate change continues, in the longer run, presumably we are looking at things like adaptations to building codes, changes in materials for building. I wonder if you see that as one possible solution in the longer term, but also, adapting to these landslides, increasing rainfall. It's going to come with greater costs, right, for governments, for societies.
Right. Actually, we're interested in more nature-based solutions, where in the earlier times, villagers in these slopes, they were doing some ad hoc drainage measures on their own to provide rainfall, some ways to take flow, and try to reduce the infiltration into the soil. That was actually very clever, very nature-based practical solution the villagers developed. So more solutions like that will not create significant structural measures or other more costly and non-environmental friendly measures could be sought after in this project, as well as you mentioned, for example, foundations for buildings can be described in certain ways on certain slopes. If you construct it this way, you may be less susceptible to landslide problems, as well as the retaining walls in this region. That came to my mind.
Yes, following the same point, actually, in the UK, we're working a couple of projects on adaptation techniques. So we one of the big projects actually we involved in is led by my colleague, Professor David Toll. It's Cactus Project, which is aiming to it's climate change adaptations. So aiming to develop like barrier system, drainage system, which you can build along your critical infrastructures like railways and these sort of things. And recently we want to apply this technique. We just got funding from NERC actually in National Environment Research Council to apply this technique in Southeast Asia. So we are just to start a project in Southeast Asia, try to adopt build some of these barriers along critical infrastructure. So this is as an adaptation technique.
Excellent, thank you. And I'm looking to the chat bar again. One of the other questions was, you mentioned Southeast Asia just now, Professor Osman, perhaps for a related study. But I mean, on that, other countries, other regions within Turkey, what are your future plans for following up this study?
Actually, this topic of rainfall-triggered landslides, together with flood events, are becoming more and more important in Turkey. In the northern part, in the Black Sea region, just this past month, we had a significant disaster and damages in Kastamonu. City of Kastamonu had problems where landslides and floods caused damages. So this this project could be extended to all of the Black Sea region. The mechanism of landslides are similar in most of these rainfall-triggered landslides in that region. So other regions could be explored as well. But this mechanism, if it is not applicable in other areas, for example, other types of landslides, deep-seated, slow movement or other mechanisms, this ideas will not be applicable. Other mechanisms will be controlling their behavior. but it could be as well extended in Black Sea region.
Thank you. And Professor Osman, when you look at Southeast Asia, I mean, do you see similarities in the mechanisms there, or is it something completely different?
Yeah, in terms also, it's strikingly actually, the pattern actually of the climate change as well, there is some sort of similarity because now we have extreme event everywhere in the world, so whether in Turkey or in Southeast Asia. And what we realize also there is the intensity of intense period of the rain, yes, had changed in the recent decades. This is very interesting. So there is, I don't know, similar pattern of climate change, which, yes, so there is some common things or lessons which we learn from other projects which we could apply actually in the collaboration here in Turkey.
Perfect, thank you. I was interested to hear you mention while you were talking about your collaboration with a private company, TOCA. And it would be really helpful if you could explain a little bit, you know, what are some of the benefits that collaboration with private companies can bring to projects like this one, and what role do you see them playing in this issue going forward?
Actually, having the private company joining our project brings us benefits in terms of sharing their resources and databases. This company has a lot of experience in site investigation and soil properties and laboratory testing in Rize and other cities in Turkey. So they were willing to share with us the database, their resources. Such integral collaborative activities with companies and universities provide us bringing together the expertise in two originally separate entities, could share their expertises, combine their expertises. So it's very valuable for us. They join to our meetings and provide feedback on our works, and they share their data to us.
Excellent, thank you. And I wonder if, you know, you've obviously worked with companies to support you in this study. How about collaboration with government bodies? Was there any support from them in this project? And how do you see government as playing a constructive role in this kind of research?
I can answer. In Turkey, our government is very open to collaborations between universities and companies. For example, in this project, in the workshop, upcoming workshop in March, we are going to invite both the local stakeholders from Rize as well as from the central government agencies. We would like to share our project results, what we have been doing, how this result can be useful for their planning purposes and future cost assessments or budget planning or other landslide mitigation measures. Also, they have their own expertise over the years about landslides. We also get benefit from learning from their experiences. Together, we can create mutual benefits, I think.
Thank you. I mean, it strikes me that, you know, just from listening to this, how different the mechanisms can be, not just between countries, but actually between different regions, right? As the geology varies, I presume the mechanisms for landslides will change. And so actually it's not just a national level problem. Presumably you really need localities to be engaging with this and helping find solutions to these problems.
Exactly. Actually, in Turkey, we can call Turkey as a landslide laboratory, where you have all different types and mechanisms to study. There are rock falls, there are earthquake-triggered landslides, deep-seated slow landslides, and various kinds in various different geologic formations triggered by different events. So it is interesting to study different versions, different mechanisms.
How do you see that, Professor Osman?
Yes, I think it's yes. So it's as Dr. Nejan actually said, it's offer actually it's a unique opportunity here in Turkey working in projects or in Turkish environment where yes, there is different type of geology and different challenge actually on predicting landslides.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm looking to the chat bar again, and we have a slightly more technical question. I'm going to read it out, and let's see what you make of it. So, considering the extent of your project from lab tests to regional susceptibility analyses, how do you plan to upscale from numerical simulations with a simplified geometry to the realistic slope and catchment scale GIS-based simulations? For example, are there any ways to estimate soil thickness and depth of bedrock? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Very nice question. Actually, that is the topic of our second journal article we are working on, where we are planning to conduct spatial numerical simulation via GIS, and where there are tools such as triggers, SynMap, and there are various tools like this where they can model the rainfall infiltration and triggering of the landslide in an aerial map-based system. But for that to be successful, you need to check the assumptions of such codes, programs, where do your landslides they fit into those assumptions or not. If they fit, you may be able to predict the occurrence of these landslides. If they do not fit into those assumptions, you may need to use other tools or develop your own tools, but it can be upscaled into catchment scale basis.
And the other thing is, with these numerical tools, it will help you to understand the triggering mechanism, what factors which affect most your or lead to landslide. So from there, you can feed it to yes, to your GIS systems or the mapping system which you are developing. So yeah, you need to look at yes, at small scale or at site scale in order to understand how you can the triggering mechanism before you can go to the large scale. So it complements each other.
Excellent. So I'm going to encourage our audience, if you do have further questions, please do pop them in the chat bar. I think I have addressed most of what we have so far. But I'd like, if I may, to ask a more personal question, maybe. I'm sure we have some students in the audience as well. Professors, if you could share, I mean, during the course of your studies, during the course of your careers, I mean, what kinds of challenges have you faced to be able to get to the point where you are now? And what advice would you share with early career researchers who are interested in pursuing work in this kind of field, particularly work involving international collaboration?
I can start, Ashraf. Actually, that's a very good point. In general, around the world, as well as in Turkey, funding is a problem. We need to develop our own funding through national or international sources to be able to carry out the research as we want, as we wish within that content, such as fieldwork, laboratory experimentation, or numerical simulations. We always need funding, not only for the infrastructure, but also for hiring graduate students who will be doing their thesis on these topics. It is very important to develop your own funding. What I realized is you need to apply to 5 different funding sources. You may be rejected from some of them, but you need to be always trying to find other funding mechanisms. You should not lose your hope and give up or something. So you should try to find other ways, especially also for the publications, that when you prepare a publication and submit to a journal, you may get a bad review or some harsh review comments for you, but that should not distract anyone. You should make your manuscript better and submit to publication again. So do not give up would be my suggestion.
Yes, and I would like to add also as well, yes, yeah, never give up. That's a good advice. So just keep trying and trying, and you will succeed. The other thing is also try to interact with whatever opportunity for international collaboration. So there is some webinars, and I remember attending actually a couple of months ago a seminar organized I think, by the British Council, where it gathered research from Turkey and the UK. So there is where people can discuss their research ideas. So just try to try to find whatever opportunity for exchanging ideas with other people. So conferences also, if you go to an international conference, that's a very good a very good place actually to start building your network and collaborating with other people, exchanging ideas. So my advice: try to be active and try to look at collaboration with people.
Brilliant. Thank you very much both for those considerate answers. So I think we have one more question in the chat bar. Do you have any suggestions in the field of landslides that need study as a potential PhD topic?
Yes, there is a lot of areas actually. We do this, or people do research on landslides for long times, but they never find the final solution. So there is a lot of opportunity in order to understand the triggering mechanism of landslides, the unsaturated soils, and its impacts. So, yes, the different impact of climate change on the stability of landslides. So there is a lot of opportunity, I think, in this field for future research.
Yes, I agree with Dr. Osman. Just some ideas that come to my mind are use of remote sensing and satellite imaging technologies and machine learning methods for detection of landslides, prediction of developing early warning systems. For various aspects, we can benefit from satellite imagery and remote sensing aspects. So I encourage young generations to move into this area further on, as well as carrying out multidisciplinary research. So many times engineers would focus in their own world, doing numerical studies, experiments, and so on, but it is very valuable to interact with social scientists and other people, economists and other government agencies. Together with them, you may reach to a more applicable result where it will change people's lives and urbanization and other decisions with policymakers. So I encourage young generations also be open to multidisciplinary studies.
Thank you very much. And maybe one final question from the chat. Do you have plans to widen the team for potential future collaborations? Dr. Huvaj, you mentioned a couple of potential projects that are coming up, but could you talk about that a bit maybe?
Yeah, we have one project that is starting on floating wind and solar energy. That will be starting this month. We have another ongoing work on cultural heritage sites where they are exposed to landslide and flood damages. We already have a team. We made some progress in that project, but if anyone is interested, they can communicate with me to see at which stage they can participate in what format. We would be happy to build together with them even further collaborations. Future projects could be as well considered. Not only these, but other future projects could be possible as well.
Yeah, and also we are planning to have the workshop which Nejan actually had mentioned. So this workshop will not just be us actually, or those who work in the project. It will be open to all researchers here, particularly in Turkey, and everyone is welcome actually to attend and participate. And if you have any ideas in advance, you can communicate with us, and we can include you in the program of this workshop.
Actually, Dr. Osman, we will have two workshops. One is for this landslide project in March. Then we have the other project workshop, cultural heritage, flood landslide. Yes. There will be another workshop. So we encourage people to join to those two workshops.
Brilliant. Thank you both. And if there are links with details of those events you would like to share with us, we are going to post this video onto the YouTube channel of British Embassy in Ankara, sure. And we can include some of that information with the video.
Sure. Thank you.
Excellent. So look, let me thank you both very much. That's been a really fascinating dive into the work that you've been doing. And I think, despite the political efforts that we're going to make to limit climate change, we know we are going to have to live with some level of a changed climate. And so this kind of adaptation project is the kind of really practical, substantive work that's going to make a difference and enable people to live with the climate change that we'll experience. So thank you both very much for your work. It's incredibly valuable. Thank you for your time today. It's been great to learn from you, and we'll look forward to staying in touch. Just quickly before we close, a brief announcement. So we will have the fourth and final webinar in our Newton for Climate series happening next week on the 28th of October at 3:30 Turkey time or 1:30 UK time, where we will host Professor Alison Smith from the University of Cambridge and Dr. Berat Hasnedaroglu from Bogazici University, to talk about their project, Joint Consortium on Algal Biotechnology for the Bioeconomy. So please do join us for that next week. But for now, thank you very much again to Dr. Huvaj, to Professor Osman. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much for hosting us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.